Welcome to the Beyond Fashion Business Podcast. Today's guest is Oliver Saunders, the commercial director at Our Legacy, one of the most well-respected cult fashion brands of the past 2 decades. This story is not about hype, marketing hacks, or chasing trends. It's about patience, product, and a relentless commitment to building something real. We talked about how Our Legacy grew from a quiet Swedish label to a globally recognized brand. We go deep on what it actually takes to build longevity in this industry, how production and relationships shape everything behind the scenes, and why staying small for longer might be the smartest move a brand can make if they want to stand the test of time like Our Legacy has. What from a maybe operational perspective, or in terms of just the business model in general,
Yeah.
what are the biggest challenges that get in the way of you being able to commit consistently to those foundational principles? Is it's always production, as you said, or it's always like adapting to distribution, or it's it's operations and profit margins, right? Like what do you think are the biggest?
Oh, I don't really know. I think they're all big. I mean, they all come into fire at some point in your mix. I mean, I think that, you know,
Let's focus early on. Early on when again, guys in the
yeah,
store with something that have potential.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that then, of course, it was always production. I mean, you always, that was always the one. I mean, you always had the conversation. Can you be earlier? Can you be better? And of course, you have to build a big team and invest in an incredible team to help with that, and an incredible team on the ground and all the rest of it. And again, massive hats off to the team and to Portugal. I mean, we've been phenomenal, luckily, with EU production. We've been phenomenally lucky with that we invested into these factories, and Johannes and the team with Chrissy, just been able to have those relationships. And again, I think it was exactly the same what happened for me, just kind of falling in love with the brand, and then them also investing in us and seeing the future potentially. And then you've built it with them, and then we've been able to deliver the product, and ultimately, then been able to create invoices, right? So,
Hmm.
they have their invoices, you create yours, and then it's business and business, and it keeps going from there. But I think production has always been the one. I think that because, like I said to you, I mean, anyone that comes to me and asks me, I mean, they're always it's the one that can really take you out.
Hmm.
Because the vision or the rest of it and drawing and design, yes, okay. But if you don't have the product in front of you and it's not up to scratch, very difficult to very difficult to survive without it, isn't it? Really,
Right.
because you're not really a product anymore. You're selling a dream. So, and we've never packaged ourselves as a dream, have we? I mean, we've always been very clear that product speaks speaks for itself. We haven't kind of put it up on a pedestal or a stage. We haven't created that around us. The product's always kind of got out there, like all the greatest brands you remember. It was very kind of rare. I mean, back in the day, I mean, pre web or social media, you had to discover. And I think our legacy's kind of been very true to sense of discovery for quite a long time. We've held on to that for a long time, even with social media, even with these, even if you talk in the inner circles how they're talking. I mean, it's still kind of the buyer's brand. We
Hmm.
still kind of resonate very strongly into that mix. So we still kind of come across as that, if you know, you know, right? And I love that, and I hope that kind of prevails. And it kind of will get bigger and bigger. Of course, it will naturally, but I think that's kind of been key to how we've managed to work our way through this kind of thing. Yeah,
Interesting. And do you think the most important variable to make that perception stay the way that it has been the obsession towards product and that, again, a timeless product that is not affected by trends and seasons and all these different factors?
for sure. For sure, because
Mm.
I think that even if you look at the Camion, I mean the Camion boot, I mean we own that boot. I mean, God only knows how that happened, but that boot's been with us for 10 years. And it's still it's still driving strong. So we're very fortunate where we don't need to. We're not ultimately riding these highs and coming on lows. It's kind of like no, they're doing right. This is
Mm.
it's just good product. You don't need to. Then you move on to the next one, and hopefully you can make a full assortment of all great products, and the rest is history. But that's challenging, of course. But it's a good example, like where most people maybe just discover it, and I love that. I love that when that happens. I love it. But no, we've been showing that boot for close to 10 years.
Wow. Okay. And the same thing, what reinforced these deep relationships to happen? I understand buyers are looking for good product, right, that they can rely on consistently. This is a perfect example, but what about another, as you said, very important partner? Um, Factories, manufacturing partners. What do they look for? What do they believe in? What makes them stay with the vision?
I think again, it's exactly the same as you're working with your buyer. You know, you're working with pushing enough forward so you have that next like, oh, and enough of the stability. So you've also got to keep them entertained and excited. It kind of works both ways. So you also drive, you know, you have to work with their capabilities or their capacities, etc. You understand that, then you kind of drive and you have that vision and you kind of maneuver or you adapt and you change and develop, and they also get as excited as we do around the product because you're also at the same time you're testing with them in partnership. So whether it's application of zips or working with certain fabrics, you know, and doing things the wrong way around. I mean, we've always been playing with fabrics maybe the wrong way around, literally the wrong way around, or
Hmm.
play, you know, playing with layers and things how they move, and I think that's what makes it so interesting. And fabrics, of course, have resonated so highly for us as a brand. And I think I don't know if you ask the general public, I think they'll talk about that feeling, what that fabric does and how it sits and how it wears. And like the same with our factories, we're kind of testing them and talking with them and developing them. So hopefully they get excited as a product as we do. And it's just not this end game of just pushing out all this product and waving goodbye. You know, it's a
Hmm.
continued partnership in that sense of building something great together.
Yeah. Wow. So, as you said, relationship building, both on the distribution and production perspective. Well, I mean, on every aspect of the business,
All you
really.
got. All you
Yeah.
have. I mean, you have to have them. They're the foundation of all. I mean, you can't. You can absolutely walk away and do it, no problem. But I think that we are so invested and so conscious about the importance of our place and what we're doing and what we're providing as a service and all the rest of it, that we're invested into those relations and see them almost through. I mean, that is the core foundation to the brand. I mean, as you say, you're not going to walk into the office and see these core values written down anywhere, but they're invested into the relationship, how we've managed to find other employees, how we've managed, you know, they're based on relationships or based on fit, and the rest is, you know, when you find that love for the brand, the skill sets, stuff we can of course learn and adapt. But I think that's when I've found out now recently, of course, is that when you talk to other brands about companies, about how long our staff members invested, my team are 10-year plus around me. That's very rare in the industry. It's very common in Sweden, very common to stay in, you know, but in fashion, that is incredibly rare.
If this episode resonated with you, and if you're building a real brand, but growth still feels inconsistent, overwhelming, or just not to the scale your brand deserves, we're offering free one-on-one coaching calls. And this call will help you identify exactly what's getting in your way and what to do next. These calls are limited and application based. So if you're serious, click the link in the description, fill out your form, book your call, and if we think we can help, we'll confirm your spot. Hope you enjoyed this podcast episode, and see you on the next one.